Lesson 2. Application of theories into managerial decision making. What is economic theory? Economic theory is an application of various economic concepts in decision making. For example, cost, price, demand. Establishing the relevant variables. For example, it helps in deciding what variables need to be considered in estimating two different sources of energy. Economic theories state the general relationship between two or more variables and events. The application of relevant economic theory provides consistency to business analysis and helps in arriving at right conclusion. We will see one by one those concepts. Theory of demand. Theory of demand explains the consumer behavior. There are some questions in consumer behavior. How do consumers decide whether buy or not to buy the products? How do they decide the quantity of products to be purchased? How do they behave when the price of goods change or the taste, fashion of the product change? In the organizational perspective, there are two questions to be answered. Does changing price become unimportant in terms of total revenue? What theory is applicable to take decisions? To get the answers for all these questions, demand theory helps. Demand theory is an economic principle relating to the relationship between consumer demand for goods and services and their prices in the market. Demand theory forms the basic for the demand curve, which relates consumer desire to the amount of goods available. In the consumer behavior perspective, to assess the sales prospects, managers will be required to collect and analyze data on generating market trends, trends in the industry to which the planned products belong, major existing and potential customers and their respective market shares, prices of the competing products, pricing strategies of the prospective competitors, market share and degree of competition, supply position of complementary goods. Those data help the managers to take the decisions on price and demand relationship. The theory of price. The theory of price or price theory is the microeconomic principle that uses the concept of supply and demand to determine the appropriate price point for a good or service. The concept allows for price adjustments as market conditions change. For example, suppose that market forces determine price of 1 kilo sugar is 110 rupees. The organization should adapt the price to sustain in the market. Therefore, theory of price is very important to determine the price which decides the consumer behavior. Theory of profit. According to this theory, there exists a normal rate of profit, which is a return on capital that must be paid to the owners of the capital as a reward. Therefore, theory of firm helps the managers to take the decisions on profit levels to be managed for keeping the investors with the company. Capital theory. The variable capital refers to a capitalist investment in labor power seen as the only source for surplus value. Investment or capital accumulation is the production of increased capital. Organizations need to allocate capital to invest more and more to accumulate capital for future development of the firms. The theory of the firm. The theory of the firm is the microeconomic concept founded in economics that states that firms exist and make decisions to maximize profits. The theory holds that the overall nature of companies is to maximize profits, meaning to create as much of a gap between revenue and cost. The firm's goal is to determine pricing and demand within the market and allocate resources to maximize net profit. The overall target of the organization is to maximize their profit, that keep a good gap between the revenue and cost. Theory of production. The theory of production explains the principles by which a business firm decides how much of each commodity that it sells, it may be an output of products it will produce, and how much of each kind of labor, low material, fixed capital goods that it employs. The theory of production says how the company can decides how much of inputs to be included for the production and how much they can get from these inputs allocated for the production. Decision on these input minimization and output maximization is a main idea from the theory of production. Theory of needs. Firms learn the theory of needs to understand the behavior of employees working in the organization and also the behavior of consumers who are the important stakeholders of the firm. This theory says that individual specific needs are acquired over time and are shaped by one's life experience. According to Maslow's idea, there are 5 levels of needs. Physiological needs like food, water, warmth, and rest, and safety needs like security and safety. Those 2 needs are basic needs. Third level, belongingness and love needs, for example, intimate relationships and friends. And fourth level, esteem needs, prestige and feeling of accomplishment. And the last level of needs is self-actualization, that's achieving one's full potential including creative activities. Safety needs and physiological needs are considered as basic needs of people, and esteem needs and belongingness and love needs are considered as a psychological needs, and the last level need is considered as self-fulfillment needs. This theory says that people who are satisfied with the one level of needs motivate those peoples to achieve the second level, third level, and the next level. Therefore, it is important for the companies to identifying the people, maybe it's an employees of the companies or maybe the customers of the companies, which level they need to achieve. Utility theory. Utility theory assumes that any decision is made on the basis of the utility maximization principle, according to which the best choice is the one that provides the highest utility or satisfaction to the decision maker. That consumers take decision based on the satisfaction or utility what they can get from the product. Consumers take decision to maximize the utility at the minimum cost. In this lesson, you learn what is economic theory, theory of demand, theory of price, theory of profit, theory of capital, theory of firm, theory of production, theory of needs, utility theory. There is a question at the end lesson exercise. Question: explain how managers use economic theories in making managerial decisions. This is the end of the lesson 2.